Now let's talk about fonts in CSS. So here I'm going to go back to my main CSS, right? But I'm going to keep over here all these paragraphs like that, right? So we're going to have 5 paragraphs and they're all going to stay, right? And they all have classes, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to go back to main CSS over here, and then we have fonts over here, right? So what I'm going to say first, right? I'm going to say for the paragraph, for all of them, right? Let's do the font size, right? So first of all, let's do the font size. I'm going to say something like, I don't know, 25 pixels. All right, so they're a little bit better, and then we can see them a little bit better. And once we have a font size set, let's go over here and let's create over here class, right? So I'm going to say 1 over here, and over here I'm going to say font family, over here font family, over here like this, and then you can see we have options, right? So I'm going to start right away bold. I'm going to go with the monospace, right? Then the next one over here, I'm going to say this is going to be A2 over here like this. And then I'm going to say the same thing, font family. And this is going to be sans serif over here like this. For the third one, we're going to say 3 over here like this. And we're going to have a font family over here. And we're going to say serif over here like this. Now, I want you to think of these, right, as a containers, right? And let me show you what I'm talking about. So if we go back over here to W3 schools, right, you can see over here the CSS web save font combinations, right? So what you can see over here, right, that once we're picking serif, right, all we're saying is find whatever serif you have, right, whatever option of serif you have. I really don't care. The same with monospace, the same with sans serif, right? And over here, if we want to be more specific, right, we would write Georgia, and then we would write serif. We would write Palatino linotype, and then we write serif, right? Now over here with the quotation marks, right away, if you have a name for a font family, right, that has a space, right, you should use the quotation marks, right? If it's just simple Georgia, you can use serif over here like this, right? Then you have Times New Roman, right? Again, look at the spacing, right? But again, you can see at the end, right, we have a serif, right? So basically what we're saying, I would want from that container, or I would want from this one, right? So here you can have Arial, or this is going to be Helvetica, right? So let's go back over here, and let's say for this guy, right, for sans serif, we're going to use Arial, right? So we're going to write over here Arial, over here like this, and now we have sans serif. Now there's going to be cases, right, where you're picking actually fonts, and whoever is using actually the website or whatever the project that you build, right, and they don't have the fonts, right? Now this is not going to be the case with Arial, but let's just imagine that it is, right? So what is a very common practice, right, and very smart practice is to actually set up a fallback fonts, right? So let me show you what I'm talking about over here, right? So here you can see that I have Arial black and the second value, right? And what this means is that, listen, whoever's using my site, right, for its browser or for its computer, right, if you don't have these fonts, use these ones, right? And what this helps with, right? So over here, if I'm going to go back to Helvetica, right? So I have Arial and I'll have Helvetica, right? So I'm going to say Helvetica over here like this. And what I'm saying is that I still would want my style, right? So if I'm setting my site with Arial fonts, right, the fallback one, I would want something like this, right? Because probably the last thing you would want is actually default fonts, right? Because that's going to look the ugliest, right? So therefore over here, always use a first value and then use the default value. And then over here, pick the container where you would want it from.